All right, Stephen, we are 4 or 5 weeks, something in that range from SEC Media Days. Once those conclude, it's right off to August camp. Position battles ensue from there. So set us up in regards to your most intriguing position battles.
I think the most intriguing ones are first and foremost, Mark is going to come at that right tackle position on the offensive line. Wilkin Formby right now has it. The former four-star in that 2023 class from Northridge High School here in Tuscaloosa. He's got it as of right now. Had an incredible spring. Wilkin he's got the terminology down. He's got his body right where it needs to be at. The strength is where it needs to be at. His footwork, his establishing of his base, neutralizing these edge rushers, his communication, it's all where it needs to be at. And though he has to fend off, you got Miles McVay in that room. You've got Nikhil Bertrand, for transfer from Texas A&M in that room. You got different guys in that room. But I think Wilkin Formby has truly began to separate himself, and he started doing that in spring practice. So I look at that right tackle position. That could be an interesting battle there. I look at wide receiver, and two guys can really shake up this room, Mark, and they're two freshmen, Caleb Odom and Ryan Hollywood Williams. How do they fit in this room? Caleb Odom at 6'5", could be the first big body receiver to pan out since Julio Jones back in 2008. Alabama has had a lot of big body receivers that didn't pan out, whether it was Cam Sims, Derek Keefe, Raheem Falcons, Deron Carter. There were a lot of those names that whether they just didn't fit the system or injuries robbed them, it just did not work. Here is Caleb Odom, who comes in from Carrollton, Georgia, as a tight end. He gets moved to wide receiver, had a phenomenal spring. Like, coaches salivating over this young man. But where does he fit? Does he fit at the X position at the top of the formation, where you're going to be asked to execute that route tree at a tremendous level? Or does he fit more at that Z position at the bottom, where he can just stretch the field, go out there and get the football? So that's going to be interesting there for Caleb Odom. Then when you look at Ryan Hollywood Williams, a guy that's just an incredible talent, one of the most talented in-state players at that wide receiver position since Julio Jones in 2008. When you look at Ryan Williams, a two-time Mr. Football from Saraland High School in South Alabama, a guy that reclassified from 2025 to 2024 and never lost his rating, remained a five-star. The guy is big time. How does he fit into all of this? So those two can really shake up this room. That's going to be interesting when you watch the wide receiver position. And then for me, the defensive secondary. You got some position battles there. You know, one corner looks to be Damani Jackson, the transfer from USC, but the other corner, will it be Jaleel Hurley, one of the only holdover from the 2023 class in terms of scholarship defensive backs, or will it be the transfer from Wake Forest, Deshaun Jones, taking that spot there? You look at other spots in the secondary. Red Morgan, the true freshman from Central Phoenix City High School, who had a remarkable spring, just insanely athletic, incredibly gifted. He's battling for two spots here, whether at the Husky spot there in the secondary or possibly a free safety spot, battling there with the likes of Keon Saab. So the secondary is going to be fun to look at. The offensive line at right tackle is going to be fun to look at. The wide receiver room is going to be very fun to look at. Those three positions right there.
Stephen, I know you covered some of this ground looking at those positions in particular, but transfer players, who would most likely be the guys that will make an immediate impact out of the guys that were picked up in the transfer portal in the two cycles this offseason?
Got a couple here, Mark. The first and foremost, I think Damani Jackson makes a huge impact. Guy, we know what he is as a corner. He's got the length, 6'1", 190 pounds plus, modern-day high school in California. Started his career off at USC, though Alabama really wanted him, and he probably didn't get the teaching that he needed at SC. Now he comes to Tuscaloosa. He's around Kane Womack. He's around Coach Maurice Linguist and Colin Hitzler. So he's going to get that training, that coaching. He wants the tough, hard-nosed culture. He's about that. So having Damani Jackson here, I think he makes a big impact. I think Keon Saab, the transfer from Michigan, makes a huge impact. He's coming from a national championship team, Mark, where he contributed 28 tackles. We had about 5 to 7 pass breakups, 2 to 3 interceptions. He had an impact on that Michigan team, and with him coming in from New Jersey as a free safety, that's going to be huge there for Keon Saab. If I look at a guy and Jeremy Bernard, transfer from Washington as a wide receiver, he's going to have an impact in that room. He knows the system. He knows what is going to be expected from him with Jamarcus Shepard as the wide receivers coach. Bernard in the spring game, 3 catches for 122 yards. Not all receivers for Alabama or yards are concerned. So I like Bernard. And then last but not least, I go Parker Browsford at center because of the fact that he played in 15 games last year at Washington, 13 at center, helped that group win the Joe Moore Award for the top offensive line in the country. I know people say, well, he's only 275 pounds, can use some more weight, can use some more muscle, especially dealing with these tackles and defensive linemen in the SEC. And yes, more weight will be needed there for Parker Browsford, but he's got the athleticism. He can reach up to the second level, take on a linebacker. He can push and pull around and get up and down the field. Very good communicator. I like what Parker Browsford brings too.